we're going to be exploring the world of Aima Being. She's a quantum being coach and also the host of the Aima Being Expanded Awareness podcast.
And her work is just fascinating, because she really dives deep into quantum healing and that connection we all have.
Yeah.
Between our physical bodies and our unconscious minds and our spirits, all of it.
Exactly, yeah. And in her latest article, she tackles something, well, I bet a lot of us have experienced it, actually. Astigmatism and also eye convergence issues. But here's the thing. Here's the twist. She sees these not as like limitations or problems,
right,
but as, get this, potential gateways to deeper consciousness, even multidimensional perception.
Such an interesting concept. She draws inspiration from a lot of different places, like esoteric traditions and the work of Robert Monroe, who, well, he was a pioneer in out-of-body experiences. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've always been so fascinated by OBEs and that whole idea of a second body, that energetic form that Monroe talked about that can travel to other realms. It's wild.
Well, that's exactly what she's talking about. Aima suggests that these, seemingly ordinary vision things, these anomalies,
right,
they could actually be connected to our second body, like it's trying to emerge or, make itself known to us somehow. She sees them as this bridge between, our everyday perception and this, like, much bigger multidimensional reality that's out there.
Okay, so let's break this down a little. So Aima starts by sharing her own experiences, right?
Yeah.
She has astigmatism, which, well, as we know, distorts your vision.
Right.
And she also has this this thing where her eyes, they have trouble converging on the same point.
Interesting.
She even says she bumps into things sometimes because it takes her brain like extra time to process what her eyes are actually seeing.
Wow. So instead of just kind of like brushing it off as just a physical quirk, she started exploring the deeper meaning, like the symbolic meaning behind it. It's like she's asking, what if our physical vision is actually reflecting something deeper about how we see reality itself?
So she's not just talking about the physical mechanics of the eye, but how our vision, like, connects to consciousness and spirituality. Even.
Exactly. Yeah. She gets into ideas from like Buddhism and Hermeticism that, well, they suggest that physical reality, it might be more of an illusion than we really realize. Like, it's fragmented and distorted by our limited minds.
Whoa, that is mind-blowing. Okay. So how does astigmatism fit into this idea then? This distorted reality idea?
Well, she offers a couple interpretations. One is that astigmatism could represent a spiritual misalignment, sort of. Like maybe there's a blockage in our third eye chakra. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's that energy center that's associated with intuition and inner vision.
Right, exactly.
So it's like our ability to see clearly, but on a spiritual level, it's somehow impaired.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
But the other way she talks about it is that astigmatism reflects the challenge we face, in aligning our personal reality with these kind of universal truths or spiritual principles. It's like our perception is out of sync with the bigger picture, the whole thing.
So how do we overcome this distortion then, this misalignment? I'm guessing meditation might be something.
You got it.
Okay.
Aima sees all these different practices like meditation and visualization and energy healing as ways to realign ourselves with our inner truth, our core.
Yeah.
To clear those blockages and refine our perception, basically.
It's like cleaning the lens of our perception both physically and spiritually, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then when it comes to eye convergence issues, things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Aima suggests that, well, instead of this being a flaw, this difficulty converging our eyes could actually be, get this, a bridge between different states of consciousness. Whoa, hold on. So those times when our eyes they can't seem to focus on the same thing, that could be a sign that we're tapping into something beyond our normal awareness.
That's the idea.
Wow.
She connects this to the esoteric view that each of our eyes represents a different level of perception.
Really?
One eye is focused on the material world, the everyday reality.
Right.
But the other eye, she says, is tuned into these subtler, non-physical dimensions.
So it's like having one eye for the physical world and one eye for the spiritual, the energetic world.
Yeah, it is.
That's wild.
It is. And she believes that struggling to converge our eyes could mean that we're literally catching glimpses of those other realities.
Really?
Those subtle dimensions that, well, they usually remain hidden from our normal perception.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But I mean, I imagine it could also be really disorienting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to navigate two different realities at the same time.
Absolutely. And Aima, she acknowledges that, yeah, it can be a challenge. It's this constant push and pull, between those two perspectives. She calls it navigating duality, which is that tension between the mind and the spirit.
Right.
The material and the immaterial.
Right.
But she also sees it as an opportunity to move toward what's called non-dual awareness.
Okay. I'm going to need a little help with this one.
Yeah.
What exactly is non-dual awareness?
Okay, so think of it as this state of unified perception. You're experiencing reality as a whole, beyond the separation of this and that. It's a concept that's central to a lot of spiritual traditions.
Right.
Like Zen Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta. Have you heard of those?
Oh, I have, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So struggling to converge our eyes, I mean, as frustrating as it can be sometimes, could actually be pushing us toward this more holistic, unified way of seeing.
That's exactly what she suggests.
Yeah.
And on a more practical level, she believes that our brains, they might actually be adapting to handle these multiple layers of perception.
So it's like our brains are getting a workout, expanding their capacity to take in more information, more dimensions of reality.
Exactly. And in the process, we're opening ourselves up to this expanded awareness that goes beyond just our ordinary senses.
This is all so fascinating, I'm starting to see, my own experiences with blurry vision and stuff in a whole new light.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear how Robert Monroe fits into all of this.
Well, that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Perfect.
So Aima, she sees a strong connection between these eye convergence issues and Robert Monroe's concept of the second body.
Oh, okay.
Remember Monroe, he was a pioneer in exploring out-of-body experiences.
Right.
And he believed we have this subtle energy body that can detach from our physical form.
Right. That non-physical self that can travel to other realms.
Exactly.
So how does this tie back to our eyes then?
Well, Aima believes that having trouble converging our eyes could mean our minds are starting to kind of loosen their grip on physical sight. Almost like we're shifting our focus to that second body that Monroe described.
So it's like our eyes are rebelling, kind of, against the limitations of just purely physical perception, hinting at something, a reality beyond what we normally see.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So our brains, they constantly work to kind of reconcile those different images coming from each eye.
Right.
Especially when they're not converging perfectly.
Right.
Aima believes that this whole process could be training our brains to perceive multiple dimensions at once.
That's right.
Just like Monroe suggested we could do during an OBE.
Exactly.
That's pretty mind-blowing. So are we talking about literally seeing other dimensions?
Well, it might not be as straightforward as seeing another world with our physical eyes.
Right.
Aima believes this shift in perception is more about activating what's often called inner sight.
Okay.
It's the ability to perceive subtle energies, auras, or even glimpses of non-physical realms.
Okay, I see. This is where it starts to feel like we're venturing into the unknown a little bit.
Yeah.
How does all of this connect to those out-of-body experiences then? The ones that Monroe was so famous for?
Well, Monroe observed that people often experience a shift in their senses right before having an OBE. And that shift frequently involves, visual anomalies, think, blurred vision, seeing double, or just a sense that your perception is off, kind of distorted.
So our everyday struggles with eye alignment could actually be early signs of our potential for OBEs.
It's possible, yeah.
That's both exciting and a little bit unnerving.
It is. It is. It definitely opens up some possibilities.
Yeah.
Aima even suggests that these misalignments could be impacting the thalamus, which, well, it acts like a filter for sensory information in the brain.
So it's like our eyes are creating these glitches in our normal perception, which could allow us to bypass those filters and access information that's usually blocked.
Exactly, yeah. It's like our eyes are kind of hacking the system, opening us up to a wider range of perception. And Aima believes we can intentionally cultivate this expanded awareness through things like relaxing our visual focus.
Oh, okay. Kind of like what happens during meditation.
Exactly.
So instead of trying to fix our vision, we could use those quirks to our advantage and explore these hidden realms.
That's what Aima proposes, yeah.
And she doesn't just stop at the theory.
No.
She offers specific techniques that we can use to explore this potential.
Right.
Now we're talking. Tell me more about these techniques.
Okay, so one practice she highlights is soft gazing.
Oh,
it involves intentionally blurring your vision and detaching from your focus on the physical world.
So instead of straining to see things clearly, you allow your vision to kind of soften, almost drift. What's the purpose of that?
Well, Aima believes that soft gazing can increase our sensitivity to subtle energies and non-physical dimensions. It's like we're shifting our attention away from the physical details and tuning into a more subtle level of perception.
Okay, I can see how that could be a powerful practice. What else does she suggest?
Aima also talks about tuning into the etheric plane.
Okay.
Now, this might sound a bit esoteric, but it's a concept that comes from traditions like theosophy.
Okay.
They describe the etheric plane as this realm of subtle energy, a bridge between the physical world and the spiritual realms.
So it's like a layer of reality that's just beyond our normal perception.
Exactly. And Aima believes that people with diverging vision, they might be more naturally attuned to this etheric plane.
Interesting.
Which could explain why they experience these visual anomalies, you know? It's like their eyes are catching glimpses of that subtle energy, even if they don't, like, consciously realize it.
Wow, so instead of being a problem, these visual quirks could actually be a sign that someone is more sensitive to these subtle energies.
Yeah, it's a different way to look at it.
That's a really cool way to reframe it.
And she believes we can all cultivate this sensitivity through practices like soft gazing and working with our energy centers.
Wait, energy centers?
Yeah, or chakras.
Chakras? I've heard of those, but I don't really know much about them.
Well, in a lot of spiritual traditions, chakras are thought of as these, like, spinning wheels of energy that run along the spine.
Okay.
They each kind of govern different aspects of our physical, emotional, and spiritual being.
And Aima believes that working with these chakras can help us enhance our perception and tap into those subtle realms.
That's right. Okay.
Remember, she talked about astigmatism potentially being linked to a blockage in the third eye chakra?
Right, yeah.
Well, she believes that clearing and balancing that chakra can help us develop our inner vision and perceive those subtle energies more clearly.
So it's like we're not just working with our physical eyes, but with our entire energetic system to expand our perception.
Exactly.
Wow, this is also fascinating.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I think I need a moment to kind of process all of this.
Where do we go from here?
I know, right?
It really is. But it makes you think, Aima started this whole exploration because of her own experiences with astigmatism and eye convergence issues.
It's true. It makes you wonder if those challenges, maybe they were actually the catalyst for this whole deep dive into consciousness, Like, could it be that those so-called limitations were actually guiding her towards her purpose?
Yeah.
Her work as a quantum being coach.
It's like those visual anomalies, they were like whispers from her soul, kind of nudging her to look beyond the surface, beyond just the physical.
Right.
To explore these deeper mysteries of perception and reality.
Exactly. And maybe by sharing her journey, she's inviting all of us to do the same.
Right.
To pay attention to those signs and synchronicities in our own lives. To trust that even our challenges, they can hold, like, profound wisdom and guidance.
It's a beautiful reminder that we're not meant to just endure our struggles, but to learn from them, to grow through them, and to allow them to kind of transform us.
Absolutely. And Aima's work, it really is a testament to that transformative power, She's taken what could have been seen as limitations and turned them into strengths, into unique pathways to understand and experience reality in a whole new way.
It's such a powerful message of hope and empowerment for anyone who's ever felt different, anyone who's ever struggled with their perception or questioned the nature of reality.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, we invite you, the listener, to take a moment and just reflect on your own relationship with your physical senses.
Wow.
What if those senses, they're not just windows to the external world, but also doorways to like deeper dimensions of perception and experience?
What if those, so-called limitations, they're actually subtle invitations to expand your awareness, to tap into your inner vision, and to discover the infinite potential that's within you?
We encourage you to explore those possibilities with curiosity, with courage, and with an open mind. And remember, the journey of awakening, well, it's a lifelong adventure, and there's always more to discover.
That's for sure.